और दी जन को वेटिंग कौन होउछ टू आर वेटिंग अभी का आरंभ करेंगे हां वेलकम टू द सेकंड लाइव सेशन ऑफ the massive open online course on Sociology of Development, which has been designed and run under the auspices of the National Program on Technology Enhanced Learning, NPTEL, of the Ministry of Education of the Government of India. We are in the second live session. I hope all of you are attending the lectures as well as you are not skipping any weekly assignment. I'm requesting all of you not to skip any assignment that will adversely, if you skip, then it will adversely affect your performance after the final exam. All of you are very sharp and articulate students. I understand. Having said this, I always request all my students not to skip any weekly assignment and final exam. If you look at this course, we are trying to look at the historical location of the idea of development within quote. Development within quote. I mean, for us, for this course, perhaps the idea of development gained momentum in the aftermath of the Second World War. The Second World War was a point of intellectual and political departure through which we want to examine the idea of development, the notion of development. Development, the notion of development in classical sociological tradition, development, the way we tend to look at during the Cold War period, and development also we want to look at after the end of the Cold War period, with the onset of liberalization, privatization, and globalization, popularly known as LPG policies adopted in most of the developing nations, including India. And today, how the idea of development we tend to look at. When I tend to historically situate the idea of development, I tend to look at it from the vantage point of many political, economic, social institutions. Okay. The first sociological paradigm of development is known as the modernization theory, which was propounded by the colonizers, by the advanced capitalist nations, by Western countries from Northern America as well as Europe. The way we tend to look at sociology of development, it primarily deals with analyzing the problems of development vis-a-vis in relation to underdevelopment of the developing nations. Okay, that is very important. It deals with the peasantry, it deals with the urban poor, it deals with the unemployed, it deals with the poverty-stricken population. Okay. Sociology of development that I tend to look at, that's why I said the first sociological paradigm to deal with development was the modernization. The modernization theory postulates that the less developed economies would make progress provided they emulated the economic and social systems of Western capitalism. That's how it was based on the principles of ethnocentrism. As you all know, ethnocentrism, this concept of ethnocentrism was coined by William Graham Sumner in Folkways in 1906 to describe prejudicial attitudes between in-groups and out-groups, whereby our culture, our customs, our traditions are uncritically and unquestionably treated as superior to their cultural arrangements. That's how dichotomies have been constructed, binaries have been constructed, that when we said that whites are superior to blacks, men are superior to women, I mean, the colonizers created such, but that's why the colonizers, the British regime, when we were under the colonial rule, the British government used to write Indians and dogs are not allowed. We were treated as barbaric, and they treated themselves as civilized. Such binary position, such dichotomy, is a byproduct of an essentially ethnocentric worldview, which is based on a residue of the biological school of the evolutionary theory. And that's how the modernization theory tried to look at developing nations. Now it's okay. Thank you. That is a problem. Okay. Then then we have discussed critique of development, critique of the modernization theory from the vantage points of three important continents. 1, Latin America, 2, Africa, and 3, Asia. And India's role in bringing about a critique of modernization theory must be located in these states. In such challenges to modernize. For example, when Gandhi, for example, in Hind Swaraj, he wrote, "If India copies England, it is my firm conviction that she will be ruined." We must build our own industry. We must build our own systems of production, own systems of intellectual and political consciousness, not by isolating the West, but by integrating different domains of knowledge production that will ensure development. That's what Gandhi said. Okay. That's why Gandhi was in favor of cottage industries, homespun cloth, and khadi. The modernization theory, the way we try to bring about a critique of modernization theory, may be twofold. 1, in terms of critical variable approaches, and the second one is dichotomies. Critical variable approaches, I mean, nothing much to talk about. I mean, critical variable approaches equate modernization as a synonym of development. Okay. I mean, critical variable approaches equate modernization as a single type of change. If I say, if our GDP increases, then we'll ensure development. Then as if with the increase, with the rise in only GDP, then we are going to ensure development. Development must be looked at from a variety of indicators. Okay, not simply through GDP. GDP, of course, is important. I'm not denying that. But GDP alone cannot ensure development. Okay. Dichotomous approaches, they became very ethnocentric in nature. And there is a threefold critique of such dichotomous approaches to modernization. One, ideological critique. Two, empirical critique. And three, methodological or meta-theoretical. Then, in this course, we are going to dwell upon the first critique, the first systematic critique from a more theoretical vantage point to modernization theory was by the dependency theory, the Latin American debate on underdevelopment. The dependency theory was an offshoot of two intellectual trends. One, neo-Marxism, and two, the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America. When I say, we are going to discuss the distinction between Marxism and neo-Marxism in terms of imperialism and nationalism, classes, revolution and ethics, ecology, and so on. Okay, we are going to discuss Paul Barron's concept of not simply actual surplus, but potential surplus. That's very important. Okay. We are going to discuss Stavenhagen's 7 erroneous theses on Latin America. We are going to discuss Brazilian experiences through the writings of Dos Santos, Chile's global Sankel's global model of dualism in Chile, in Argentina's experiences, many experiences from Latin America, then Africa, then Asia. We are going to look at. Then if modernization theory was formulated to cater to the interests of the colonizers or the advanced capitalist nations, then the dependency theory was propagated to celebrate the socialist ideology. If the modernization theory is known as a part of capitalist development trajectory, then dependency theory is known as a part of Marxist development trajectory or socialist trajectory. If the modernization theory was based on the theoretical premises of structural functionalism, then the dependency theory was based on the theoretical premises of Marxism. Okay. As you all know, structural functionalism is nothing but creation and maintenance of structures, institutions, and organizations of Western capitalism. I mean complementarity and reciprocity of roles in the social division of labor. When structural functionalism talks about complementarity and reciprocity of roles in the social division of labor, continuity of the hitherto existing power structures, Marxism looked at the dismantling of these hitherto existing power structures. These two, the modernization theory on the one hand and the dependence theory on the other, they were posited as two dichotomous theories of development. And is there a way to go beyond these two extremes? One, we are going to discuss when we look at beyond these two extremes, especially in the Cold War period. These two were posited as two extremes. These two, I mean, modernizing theory and dependence. But is there life? Is there debate on sociology of development beyond these two extremes? We are going to look at E.F. Schumacher's Small is Beautiful. Then we are going to look at limits to growth thesis. We are going to look at paradigms lost, paradigms regained by Franz Surman in the 21st century. I mean, how development studies have taken a turn in the 21st century. Okay, we're going to look at these questions over a period of time. We are going to have another round of live session probably in the last week of September or first week of October. I'm sure all of you are very bright students. Please don't skip any weekly assignment. If you have any question, please raise these questions. If you want to send your questions to us through the portal, please send it to them. Send those questions to us. We are going to definitely write back to you. We have a very dedicated team of teaching assistants who look after these questions and answers. If you have any question, please raise this now, or else you write to us so that we can get back to you. Is there any question? No. Okay. Thank you very much. Please do well. Take care. Thank you.